Previously on Balls.
There you go.
Hi, Jake.
Yeah.
Jake White.
Yeah.
You sound asleep.
Did we wake you, Jake? Sorry, man.
Yeah, you did that, but don't worry, it's all fine, Darren.
Okay, you know it's...
Thank you so much, Jake.
You know it's us. Yeah, sorry about that, Jake. We were also kind of confused because it came up as Jake and Turney when we dialed the number. So
That's me, mate. That's me.
all right. Well, good morning. Just as I think it's just gone past midnight your time. Good morning, and how you doing?
Happy Hump Day.
Yeah, it's going well, Darren. It's fine, man. It's obviously quite nice to get the first game underway, and obviously go and beat the Reds, which is obviously one game with England last year. So things are obviously much better this year than this time last year.
All right, and I'm happy to say on our Ball Super Brew, I exactly predicted the result of the Brumbies game to the points difference. So I got off to a good start. So thank you very much for that.
Oh, I was wondering what's going to happen this weekend, though.
Careful now, Jake. Yeah. But now, I mean, look, it's the first time we're chatting. It's still early days as well.
Early, I think.
You guys are just getting underway, obviously earlier than everybody else because of the British and Irish Lions tour. But I was chatting with Campo on our regular Monday chat, and I said, look, out of the top four this year, I think the Brumbies will definitely be there. I mean, you guys basically were dominant in most of your conference last year. Unfortunately stumbled at the end, but obviously it's still a young side, and they can only get better year after year. So big things expected this year for the Brumbies.
Yeah, look, Darren, I think people would expect us to do better. I think there are a lot of things that have changed. I mean, we've obviously got a great player in the recruitment we did last year, so we've got Rathbone back, we've got David Pocock in our squad, and if you obviously our squad got stronger from a player point of view. I think the other thing to remember is that we've got real tough games this year. Last year we didn't play the Crusaders, we didn't play the Stormers, which is obviously an easier kill for us because to play two teams that we're going to finish in the top six is obviously a bit of a bonus. This year we obviously miss out the Cheetahs and the Chiefs, so we've got two tough sides. I mean, Bloom is a tough place to play, and the Chiefs won that position. So we're a lot of things that are in our favour, but at the same time, it's not given that that will automatically make it. We're still going to have to be with our confidence and still beat some really good sides. I mean, the Reds and the Warriors, I think, are going to be quite good sides.
Yeah, and I was just about to ask you from an Australian conference point of view, and once again, just picking up on some of the comments from the people that have been watching them. Apparently, the Waratahs have decided they're going back to their old sort of style that's worked for them. Although they've kind of flattered to deceive at times in this competition, they've decided let's go for what works for the Waratahs. So they're expecting to be a lot better. And then, of course, the Rebels, it's kind of got to the point now with the players that they brought in that they've got to kind of show a little bit more than they have since they started this competition now.
Yeah, look, I mean, that is true. I mean, Waratah's got a new coach, so I've got no doubt that there'll be a bit of new energy there. He's done well with Leinster, so he's quite a tough guy, and he's not going to take nonsense. So I think that's the one thing the Waratahs probably needed at the time, a bit of a shake. They had the whole Wallaby pack, and at the end of the day, it's pretty...
No, Jake?
Yeah, sorry, that's one of my alarm went off. I put my alarm on.
We phoned you too early. Sorry, man. Yeah, carry on.
Yeah. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, Dan, that they're going to be a much better side. And as you say, Rebels, I mean, they've been waiting for a long time to sort of get their show on the road. I know there are a lot of international players in the beginning, but they've signed Scott Higginbotham, they've got Curtis Beale and James O'Connor. So there's a lot of talk that this year those guys are going to actually make sure that they can push forward. Maybe not for playoffs, but push to get some big wins against. I mean, they beat the Crusaders last year, so they want to try and get some more consistency in beating better teams more regularly.
And threats from outside of Australia, where do you see those coming this year?
Yeah, look, I think the same old. I mean, I think I've no doubt that the Bulls, the Sharks and the Stormers are going to be the teams there. I mean, I saw the Stormers draw. I mean, they've got a really tough draw. You consider they play the Chiefs, they play the Bulls, and they play the Sharks in the first 3 weeks, and then they play the Brumbies. I mean, it's quite a tough draw for them to start off with, considering they've got a couple of injuries. So I still think they've got a really good side. The signing of Yaku, Tata, and Elton Jones to the added player list is obviously a bonus. The Sharks, I mean, they were finalists last year, and I think they obviously want to work hard on getting. So I think those three sides are definitely going to be there. And then I think you can never underestimate the New Zealand side. I mean, people talk about the Crusaders every year. Chiefs, a lot of people thought the Chiefs would go down with, or sort of not be as dangerous without Sonny Bill Williams, and they obviously lost their Pop Tomalolo, who's now moved over to the UK. But I can tell you, with a lot of friendlies here, Darren, in the pre-season, a lot of the New Zealand sides played against some of the Aussie sides. Yeah, we've got fortunate in the pre-season. You play the Blues or the Chiefs, or you play the Crusaders, and they all look like very, very strong sides.
Yeah, and traditionally they do. Highlanders looking very stronger this year as well. A lot of people are tipping them to possibly be a surprise package there. So another very interesting competition. Simon, you wanted to add?
Yeah, and Jake, nice to see the return of Clyde Rathbone to the Brumbies setup, especially given where he was 18 months ago.
Yeah, look, I mean, I obviously got asked that a lot straight after the game, and obviously I'm really biased. I mean, I know Clyde better than most. I coached him as a junior when he was a young boy. Actually saw him play as a schoolboy as well when he played at the old school trial. So, yeah, it's a wonderful story. I think a lot of people talk about rugby union, about being a game where there's a lot of camaraderie, but it's a game where there's some wonderful stories of great tries, great sort of games, etc. But I think this is a wonderful story in terms of just showing how rugby is and how important it is in the world when you can get a boy who's had to go through what he's had to go through and get a sort of roller coaster ride back into his 50th game as a Brumbie, and then play the way he did after being 3 years out of the game. So a lot of positive things in Canberra, a lot of positive things in Australia, talking about, as I said, not only the great comeback of Clyde, but the wonderful game of rugby in terms of what it does for people.
And it says a lot as well about the people that did rally around him when he was going through such a tough time. I've no doubts that you're a key part of that as well, Jake, but just the people that actually rallied around him to get him out of that funk and get him back to just being in a position in life where he could actually then start changing his focus back to doing what he loved again. I think it speaks volumes about that.
Yeah, it does, Aaron. I mean, you've been there yourself. You know what it's like sometimes, and you sort of worst times, and things can happen in life. And I mean, he went through a really difficult time, and rugby union wasn't everything it was made out to be for the poor guy. Everyone thought he was in a good space, but he actually, was tough on himself. So, as you quite rightly say, it's not just I'm very fortunate that I could have helped him, but I made it clear when I did pick him, it wasn't a freebie, it wasn't a given, it wasn't a feel-good story. It was given to a boy who really put his mind at it and put his heart in it and made sure that all the commitments he had to do in the preseason. I mean, he's 31, hasn't played rugby for 3 years. He's come off a injury. He's struggling in terms of getting back into the game. So, as you rightly say, it's been fantastic, and it's been accepted so well, received so well in Australia because they don't have many players there, and as you know, so to get a guy like him to show that he can come back and put his hand up is fantastic.
One of the comments made yesterday, Jake, before we let you get back to some well-deserved sleep, was the big problem for any of the Aussie sides is look, it's a problem for any side, but maybe affects Australia because of that very thing you just said. There's not a plethora of players that you can just bring into the system all the time. Is injuries, and if you lose one or two key players, it can basically turn your whole season upside down. I mean, is that something you've always got to sit with in the back of your mind? And as much as you want you guys to go out there and do the thing, you can't keep them in cotton wool, but it's got to be a nervous week, one after the other.
Yeah, look, I must say that's one thing, and people think it's that it's an excuse sometimes, or think that when I mention that in the media that so different, and that's the one thing that really hits home since I've been in Australia is just how privileged and just how lucky South Africa are.
Yeah.
You've got so many good players there. You get a guy like Skalkberger sits up, but you get Wayne Vermeulen and Talisi playing, and they've got Elstad on the flank, and then they move Elstad to lock, and they can find another player. But Deon Fourie goes from hooker, and it sounds like that side works, but there's no way that Australia can sit with that depth of talent. So, but at the same time, that there's a lot of positives. You spend a lot of time coaching in Australia. Boys here are very different in that they don't grow up and sleep and eat rugby. It's not part of their DNA as it is in the sort of homes that we grew up in. And that's fine. I mean, they've got other sporting codes that steal their players like AFL and basketball and Olympic sports like rowing when you get big kids who then get drafted into those programs. So you're going to spend a lot more time and focusing on the players you have. And that's what's so nice about it is when you do get it right and you get boys like Clyde, as I said, who come in and really spend time talking rugby to the young boys. You can't believe what a massive bonus it is to your club.
Yeah. Just finally, Jake, before we let you go, I mean, today, just the whole of South Africa has just been absolutely focused on Twitter and what's been going on in the Oscar Pistorius hearing. I mean, it must be, and I think what has been a big shock for South Africans is that how this has resonated worldwide, which maybe indicates just what an impact he made around the world when he was an athlete. I mean, just what has it been like? I'm sure a lot of people are sort of asking you about the whole case, and having met Oscar and thoughts on it. What's it been like over there?
Yeah, well, Darren, let me just say that obviously it's a massive shock, and I've met him, obviously, luckily enough, in some great circumstances, Laureus Awards and some sporting awards and that sort of thing, where you can see him and he's obviously perceived as a massive role model and a massive inspiration to young sports people that obviously you're involved with, and that I'm involved with. So I mean, I think it's obviously, as South Africans are shocked, the whole of the world, I'm sure, are shocked. And I suppose the worst thing about it just doesn't bode well and doesn't show a great image for the country, because it does such a massive amount of damage when, people around the world then talk about safety and crime and all those sort of things, which obviously is not great for South Africans. But, at the end of the day, I suppose at the end of the day, all we're going to achieve is justice prevail, and whatever's happened is, obviously not great for anybody. But obviously a tragic story. It just shows you, it's a tough world when you're international sports person, and you just got to make sure that you're in the public eye, and at times you just got to, I suppose another lesson is just control yourself,
All right, Jack. Well, we really appreciate your time in the middle of the night over there, and
thank you, Jake.
having a chat to us.
Pleasure, John.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Sleep well, and we look forward to catching up with you. And all we can do is just wish you all the best and good luck with Super Rugby season with the Brumbies this year.
Yeah, Darren, thanks, man. Yeah, just as I said, it's wonderful to chat to you guys again. When John asked me, I said, give me a show. We got day off tomorrow, which is fantastic, so at least we can sleep in a bit. But it's always nice to talk to you guys, and thanks so much for your support. I really appreciate it, guys.
Anytime, Jake. All the best, man. Cheers.
All right, thank
Sweet
you.
dreams.
Thanks. Cheers, mate. Cheers, mate. Cheers.
Right. Cheers. There's Jake White talking to us from Canberra.
This is Balls Visual Radio. Darren, Simon, Kate and John. Weekdays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Central African Time. Balls.co.za